For the past 12 years, my wife, a close-knit group of college friends, and I have participated in a college football pick'em league. What started as a lighthearted tradition slowly became something we all looked forward to. And yes, we took it quite seriously. For 6 consecutive years, one of the guys dominated the league. Each time, we threw a big tailgate party to honor the winner. There'd be speeches, a trophy presentation, and even celebrity shoutouts. Last year, we surprised him with one just to celebrate his 6th win in a row. But last year, I finally broke his streak. I won. Now, I was also the guy who usually organized everything. The trophies, the cameos, the events. I took pride in making those moments memorable for everyone. So this year, when the tailgate rolled around, I expected maybe just once someone would return the favor. I thought I'd finally get a little recognition. But no one did a thing. Not even my wife. A few hours into the party, after a couple of drinks, she offhandedly asked, "What are we doing this year for the guy who won 6 in a row?" I looked at her and replied quietly, "That would be me." Her face changed instantly. The friend next to her turned pale. At first, they laughed it off like a harmless mistake, but slowly it dawned on them they'd all forgotten. Completely. No speech. No mention of my win. Not even a damn trophy. My best friend stood there in silence, eyes on the ground, while my wife tried to cover the awkwardness by whispering to him that they'd forgotten. He didn't say a word, couldn't even look me in the eye. And then came the worst part. About an hour later, I came out of the bathroom and heard a few people giving a half-hearted clap. Turns out my wife had asked them to do something to make it up to me. It was forced and everyone could tell. Meanwhile, the guy who'd won for 6 years, who I'd celebrated every single time, was nearly crying with laughter because they had completely missed my moment. It stung. Bad. I didn't want to talk to my wife after that. The car ride home was 6 hours long, and I spent most of it in silence, holding back tears. When we finally got back, she gave me this tired apology and tried to initiate sex like that would somehow fix everything. Honestly, that made it worse. Felt like she didn't get it at all. Like I was just being dramatic in her eyes. Later that evening, I messaged a few friends and told them how deeply it had hurt to be overlooked like that. Some of the replies were kind and validating. One person said something that stuck with me. "You're the one who always keeps the group running. The one who makes sure everyone feels included. The moment you stepped back just a little, it all fell apart." They were right. I had put in so much work over the years, made sure every winner felt celebrated. When it was finally my turn, nobody showed up for me. Not even the people closest to me. And the worst part was how casual everyone acted about it, like my win didn't matter. I'm not someone who needs grand gestures all the time, but just once I wanted to feel like I mattered too. Like my efforts meant something. A real apology, especially from my best friend, would have gone a long way, but no one really owned up to it. The laughter, the indifference, and the silence told me everything. This wasn't just about football. It was about respect, appreciation, and being seen. And when that moment came, the people I love the most didn't show up. That cuts deep. I'm trying to process it, trying to find a way forward. Maybe I'll leave the league and join something new. Somewhere I can just enjoy the game without feeling like the guy always stuck planning everything while being forgotten. Maybe I'll have to rethink how much I give to people who don't give anything back. Right now, I just feel isolated. Like I'm sitting in a room full of people who don't see me. And I don't know how to come back from that. The next day, I ended up sleeping in the guest room. Around midnight, I got an email from the woman who had turned pale the night before. She apologized, clearly shaken by how things unfolded. The following morning, I was already up helping the kids get ready for school when my wife came downstairs at 6 a.m. to prep for work. She walked up to me and said she wanted to talk, asked if I was open to having a conversation. I was still groggy, hadn't had the time to process my thoughts, but I nodded. She began by trying to put everything into perspective. "It's not like I cheated on you," she said. "I forgot something important. Sure, but there are worse things that could have happened." I didn't respond. Then she asked how long I intended to keep punishing her for it. I told her this wasn't just about her mistake. It was bigger than that. She seemed irritated by that answer, but I didn't want to say anything that might escalate the tension. It became clear to me that she wasn't looking to connect or understand where I was coming from. What she wanted was closure. Something neat and tied up before we had to take the kids trick-or-treating that evening. That's where we left things. She sent a good morning text later, but I haven't responded. One of the top comments I read afterward really stuck with me. It said, "When the planner doesn't plan, everything crumbles." That summed it all up. The whole fantasy football debacle stung. But more than that, it made me question the kind of friends I surround myself with. And after realizing that, I knew I needed to start asking some serious questions about my marriage too. Why hadn't she done anything to acknowledge or celebrate something that clearly meant a lot to me? Maybe we need counseling, something to help us rebuild. But that's a decision only the two of us can make. I don't need anything extravagant from her. I just want the tension between us to fade. Still, the disappointment lingers. She's supposed to be my one steady support, my person. And while she's not always insensitive, she does have this one deeply frustrating habit. She really struggles to admit when she's wrong. When she's cornered, she becomes defensive, tries to patch things up with half-hearted gestures or misplaced blame. Almost 2 years have passed since then. I wanted to come back and share what happened. First, let me say how much I appreciated the outpouring of messages. People reached out with encouragement, shared their own experiences, and offered kindness during a time when I was feeling incredibly alone. To everyone who did, thank you. The weeks that followed that night were rocky. We hit a rough patch that lasted a couple of weeks. It took time for her to understand that my hurt wasn't just a fleeting reaction. I felt detached from everything. From her, from our routine. Trying to explain this to someone who flinches at accountability felt almost impossible. It was like asking someone who's afraid of smoke to charge into a burning building. A month later, I had a trip planned with some of the same friends from the tailgate. I thought about telling them how broken I felt, how much their forgetfulness had affected me. But when the moment came, I stayed quiet. I didn't want to sour the trip with heavy emotions. I told myself it wasn't worth bringing it up if it would cast a shadow over the time we were trying to enjoy together. I know some might judge me for that choice, and I get it. But these guys have been part of my life for over 2 decades. I didn't want one painful incident to poison all the good memories. I didn't rejoin the fantasy league the following year. A few people messaged me asking about the Pick'em League. I ignored the messages. My wife understood why I stepped away. I didn't miss it. No more weekly reminders of how forgotten I felt. Then came the next year's tailgate. Just about a year after everything had happened. Someone else had won the league that season. And no, I didn't organize anything for them either. But around 3 hours into the tailgate, someone called for everyone's attention. They pointed to the screen, saying they had a surprise. My favorite football player appeared in a video, congratulating me for winning the league. Finally acknowledging my win, even if it was a year late. I teared up a bit watching it. One of the guys leaned over and grinned, saying, "So can we bring the league back now?" He was joking, but in that moment, I thought about everything. My wife, my friends, the emotional mess from before. I got a few hugs, some belated congratulations, and then it passed. But it meant something. Even if it took a year, they had done something for me. 6 months after my original post, my father passed away. I spent every day at the hospital during his final weeks. That period of my life made me reflect hard on what really matters. The day-to-day stress, the petty things, even the deep frustrations with my wife. They faded a little. She may be flawed, but she's still my partner. Being there for my dad also reminded me how much I value my lifelong friends. Despite everything. This isn't some grand conclusion about forgiveness or relationships, but emotional landmines are real. I stepped on one, and it hurt like hell. But I'm lucky. I was surrounded by people, imperfect as they are, who tried, in their own ways, to make things right. We never had a big talk about it. That's okay. I've made peace with it all. I'm doing well now. I still care deeply about all of them. And I'm grateful for the support I received during one of the most emotionally exhausting times of my life.